We have a PowerPoint up here and it's going to show pictures of each student and a few adjectives that the teachers asked us to come up with. The number next to the adjectives is how many people said that thing about them. The first person that we have is Samhita Achanta. As long as I've known Samhita, she's always been so sweet and nice and easy to talk to, and she also sings very well. Now I'll invite Samhita to come up here to say her speech.
Pranam to Swamiji and Venkatesh uncle and all the elders. First of all, I want to thank all the aunties. I want to thank all the aunties for like the beautiful decorations, and all the uncles for organizing the special graduation ceremony. So before I joined Balavihar in 5th grade, my mom told me of how she decided to register me for Chinmay Mission. She said she was skeptical because she thought Chinmay Mission would just teach me stotrams and chanting. She thought that since she already knew stotrams, she could just teach me alone, and why send me to a place that does the same thing when she could just do it herself. Regardless, she decided to give it a shot since everyone went to it, and soon she realized that Chinmay Mission was so much more than just chanting and stotrams. When I was younger, like in middle school, I came to Balavihar and listened to lectures about values like Viveka, Titiksha, Satsang, and Satyam. In our class, we did art projects or we did games and listened to stories. I never really asked questions, I just went along with it. I just remember that we were taught how the values were supposed to help us or how we should use those values. Then I went home and that was pretty much the end of it. Not really much thinking or application of the knowledge. I most likely forgot about the class entirely. As I matured, I learned how to incorporate these values and question and change my actions and thoughts in different situations. I realized that although the Mahabharata and the Ramayana epics were really old, the morals and lessons can be carried through our current lives today. Arjuna experienced anxiety seeing the apparent war in front of him, just like we experience anxiety getting ready to take final exams at school. It was his duty to fight then, and it was our duty to take final exams right now, even when we don't want to. Balavihar has helped me introspect my mind and actions. Chinmay Mission was the building block to open and understand my inner self. I appreciate how Archana Auntie and Jaitu Auntie created activities that made us think critically and write down our thoughts and share them and discuss. It allowed us to exchange ideas and apply the advice that we learned in class to our day-to-day lives. Balavihar has given me a chance to connect with the Indian culture and, of course, catch up with friends. I'm so glad that my mom made me join. With that being said, you may be wondering how I will continue my spiritual journey, and the answer is the one request that Jaitu Auntie has always pushed us to do, which was meditation and read the Gita. I learned that the Vedanta is the key to happiness. On the plus side, I will always have the Hamsavani community to come back to. Thank you.
Thank you, Samhita, for that speech. And next up we have Harsha, who is a man of many accomplishments. When he started off, he was a Bhagavad Gita winner for regionals in 2013. He won the Dharma Award, and I think I even saw a couple Oscar nominations on there. But while obviously he went to IMSA, he wasn't attending class every week. But when he was there, he was adding to discussions, and when we were chanting the Bhagavad Gita, he somehow knew all of them when I knew none. But again, that's just Harsha, and as you can see, all funny, my doctor, he's just known, a nice beard, of course, but you don't see it. But I'd like to invite Harsha to share his speech.
Thanks for the great introduction, Aryan. Pranam Swamiji, Pranam Venkateshi, and Hariom everyone. Today marks another in a list of lasts that us seniors have been going through for the last couple of months. Now, as this chapter comes to a close, it's inevitable. Their change is inevitable. And I want to start with a little Bhagavad Gita sloka that actually makes a good comment about this. In chapter 2, verse 14, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says to Arjuna, Matra sparshastu kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkadaha agamapayino nitya samtitikshasva bharata. So what Krishna is saying here is that he's explaining to Arjuna that just like happiness and distress, summer and winter, everything that we see in this world is impermanent and is always going to change. Nothing is constant, and that we must become accustomed to this. He's essentially saying that the only constant is change. Now, our past 6 months as seniors only serves to exemplify this. This is a turning point in our lives as we graduate from Balavihar, graduate from our schools, and ultimately prepare to move out of the house. Even looking back at my life of change, of different ambitions, of different schools, of different cities, and different homes, there's a constant pattern of change. And even within that very impermanence, I can see the constant presence of Balavihar and our culture. That constant presence of comfort, community, is what Balavihar has provided for me. Now, as a little child, I remember being greatly inspired by the stories of Lord Rama and Hanumanji. Now, portrayed as the ideal man, I was often told that one should be just like Lord Rama, right? I strove to exemplify WWRD, what would Rama do? And of course, it was every little kid's dream, people to have the strength and fortitude of Hanumanji and still be so humble. And as I grew, so did my needs from Balavihar. I was introduced to all these Sanskrit prayers and stotrams and bhajans, and I was told to memorize them all, because I would need them later in life. Now at the time, of course, I had no incentive to memorize them, but now I could not be more glad that I listened. Some of these prayers and bhajans that I've memorized have helped me through my darkest times. Even though I don't know where I stand with Hinduism to this day and the concept of God, regardless of me working through these concepts and questioning things, those very same bhajans and prayers that praise that Lord brought me unimaginable comfort in desperate times. Now, even older still, I find myself still questioning the existence of God and what the meaning of all these stories and Puranas was. Now, ultimately, I found my answer at a Jaichik camp that I went to with Swami Sarveshananda. Seeing as I was having trouble coming to terms with God as this abstract concept, as an omniscient being, he said, until you're ready to take that step, you can fulfill your religion simply by ascribing your life to some higher ideal that resonates within you. Now, relatively undecided at this time, these words helped push me to find my love for medicine and healthcare. I thought I was just going to go into engineering, having taken those classes at Nalam as freshman year, being part of the robotics team for a couple of years. However, I began to understand that I didn't have a passion for it, and I was rather doing it out of convenience and necessity. And the more I thought about Swamiji's words, I realized that this new ideal had to be something I could be passionate about for the rest of my life. Now, having volunteered at the hospital every summer, I remember the joy I felt from being able to help these people at their worst and see my work have a tangible impact on them in front of my very eyes. Now, his words finally made sense to me, setting me on my own spiritual journey. At least in my experience, a surprising number of physicians are quite religious, and this realization showed me how to incorporate my beliefs into my daily life in a tangible manner. Now, in all these manners and shapes, our culture and religion has helped make me the person that I am today. At the most unexpected times, it has been there to care for me and inspire me. And until I'm sitting where you all are now, watching my children give their Balavihar graduation speeches and beyond, I hope that our culture and religion will continue to be the constant in my life. Now, I would just like to conclude by thanking all my Balavihar teachers throughout this journey. I'd like to give a big thanks to Chinmaya Mission Peoria for Hamsavahini, for doing this amazing celebration for us and giving us a chance to speak. Thank you to all my peers for keeping things interesting throughout the years. And finally, I want to thank my parents for bringing me to Balavihar every day, or every week. There you go.